Sections are down. As you can see, all the restaurants are open. We're going to take a look around. Now I'm going to address some of the questions you're going to be asked for when you start meeting these Ukrainian women. The main question, the number one question you're going to be asked first off all the time is, why do you seek a woman from Ukraine? You know, everybody's answer is pretty much the same, as far as I know. You're going to have to be prepared for these types of questions because you're going to be asked. Now, like I said, your answer is going to probably be different from my answer, but the way I respond to that is with honesty. I let them know that I like that Ukrainian women still have that traditional family morals. I like that Ukrainian women still like to be feminine. They still like to dress like women. They like to act like women. You walk the streets in here in Odessa, and you can just see the difference in how they walk, how they carry themselves. I miss that back home. You know, they still like to wear dresses. They like to wear heels. Like I said, they like to dress like women. I have daughters, I have sisters, I have a mom. I'm not going to knock all American women, obviously, and I tell them this, but the women that I've encountered, they don't have the femininity that Ukrainian women have. So this is how I respond. But like I said, your response may differ from mine, but you answer the way you want to answer. But they're going to ask you that, so be prepared. It's something personal to me. Is I get asked a lot, you know, Joe, how are African Americans received in Ukraine? I've been coming here for about 9 years. I've been here 26 times over those 9 years. I've met many women, and I see a lot of black people here in Ukraine. Ukraine is pretty much a melting pot, just like America. I have never heard of anybody having a problem, you know, because of this color of their skin. I can understand it being a concern to some of you who are thinking of coming over, but I'm telling you by my experience, I have never had any bad experiences because of the color of my skin at all. You know, could there be problems? There could be problems everywhere you go, I guess. But here in Ukraine, in 9 years, 26 visits, not one problem have I occurred. So put that out of your mind. The next topic. Hi, I'm coming to you for, oh, Jesus Christ. Just a second. We'll try it. We're going to try it again.
All right, gentlemen, welcome to our Monday night webcast. My name is John Adams, co-founder of Foreign Affair, and I'm glad and lucky to be here. They never let me on these things anymore, but you know, people are either on tour or on vacation, and so yes, I am here. I'm glad to be here, actually, all kidding aside. It's wonderful to get the opportunity to talk with you guys and answer any questions you have. You know, this webcast is entirely about you. It's about questions that we can answer. I'll do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, which I probably should, but if I don't, I will get that answer for you. You could always email me and I'll try and find the answer. You know, we started this about 20 plus years ago, doing a Monday night kind of a teleconference where guys were calling on the telephone back then, right? Things have changed a lot since then, but it's the same concept. It's a forum for you to ask questions about all things dating international, right? Whether it's marriage, whether it's dating, whether it's group tours, individual tours, whatever it is, we're happy to answer those questions for you. And we'll talk about some things. I have a little bit of a theme that I want to talk about here tonight. We'll do that. But I also will give your questions priority, and I will do my best to answer all of them. So feel free. There's a little place in there you could type in your questions, send it in, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. All right. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's on the group tour right now. We just finished the group tour to Kiev and Kharkov, and that was really cool. You've seen some of the social footage right here from this one, I believe, is Kharkov you're looking at right now. And you'll also see some from Kiev as well. So, getting back in there. Look, we're at what is it, July 19th now? We're halfway through the year and we're doing tours again. This is the first time in almost a year and a half that we do a tour like this. And hopefully we'll still go. There's still somewhat of a COVID issue over there, and we did take precautions, although as you can see, everyone's kind of right next to each other. So it's kind of difficult when you do these socials. But that's just the nature of it. You kind of have to go on at some point. It's been a year and a half, and we're back at it, and we'll see. Hopefully the cases will stay low, and we won't have to do any more major changes to the future tours coming up. Speaking of the future tours coming up, I've been telling you guys now, and I remember saying this several months ago, that if you were interested in a tour, to please get on early, because I knew, given everything that was going on, that these tours would be selling out. And that is definitely the case. So of course, these July tours sold out, and we actually didn't take any social-only clients or anything like that because of those problems. And then coming up in September, both the Kiev-Kharkov and the Odessa-Nikolaev tour now, that has also sold out. Now, you can call in and you can get your name on a waiting list, and we'll see if we can get you on that tour. But both those are sold out. And then the Medellin tour coming up here in August is also sold out. There are a couple spots left on the Barranquilla tour. So if you have an interest in Colombia, you can still get on the Barranquilla tour. But that September Ukraine tour, both those tours are sold out at this point. And the November Ukraine tour looks like it's going to be sold out here probably within the next few weeks. So if you have an interest in going to Kiev, that one's going to be very interesting, because that's going to be the first one we've done. Other than years ago, we did one in Poltava where it was just a one-city tour, right? The whole tour was just based in that city. We didn't go to the second or third city. So we're going to do that in Kiev coming up in November. Part of that is due to pandemic. I think it's just easier to have everybody in one city to deal with it. Part of it is due is to a little bit of an experiment to see how you guys like being in one city in the Ukraine as opposed to going to multiple cities. So we'll see how that one goes. We'll still do 2 socials in that one city in Kiev in November. We'll do one on Friday night and one on Saturday night. And then the rest of the time will be spent getting to know the women you met, those socials better, and also doing one-on-one introductions. But it will just be in Kiev, which is very unique. Have not done that in many years in the Ukraine. Now, that's not unique for the Asia or Latin tours that we do. We always have that in just one city, right, for the one major tour. You can put 2 tours together, like the Barranquilla Medellin tour coming up, and you could do 2 different tours back to back, and there's an option for that in those cities. But the single tour is always just one city in Asia and Latin America. All right? All right. Also, guys, I want to give a shout out. I know Joe talked about this a little bit last week, and I don't want to keep talking about this, but this is the first chance that I've got to speak to you guys about it. And from what I saw from you guys, the outpouring of support you gave to Dave and Nina, and for those of you that contributed, you know what I'm talking about. That was our client who unfortunately passed away in the Ukraine from COVID, and had just recently married a woman that he met at one of the socials, and they had a child together and all that. I mean, it's a long story. I won't go into all the details, but I want to thank all of you so much for all of your contributions. It was amazing. The outpouring of community and support was fantastic, and I was humbled, quite frankly. I thought it was amazing what you guys did. And I'll tell you, Nina was too. She was very, very grateful and asked us to relay that to you, how happy she was with everything that you did for her. And that really helps. It goes a long way. I mean, obviously, I think we raised right around $7,000 or so, and obviously that's not going to make or break anyone, but it really helps getting through this little area right now that they're in, and she is figuring things out and moving forward, and she's doing well. She was just here in the States here recently. So fantastic. Thank you guys so much for that help. It's great. All right. And we do have a tour going on right now in that Odessa Nikolaev tour. The guys are in Nikolaev. Some have already gone back to Odessa. Some are going back to Kiev because they were dual clients, because the socials are now over. So that's when you see a lot of guys will wander around to the different cities. And that's great. You know, you got to go where you feel the best connection is. So that's a wonderful thing. All right. So I'm going to get to a few of your questions, and then I will go over a few of my... We're going to talk a little bit about expectations tonight. Realistic, unrealistic, good, bad. I think it's important that, you know, when you do anything in life, you have certain expectations of what's going to happen, right? You go to a restaurant, you have an expectation of what to expect. You go to a sporting event, you have expectations of what to expect. And I think that this is no different when you join this. The only difference about this maybe is that you've never been on something like this before. And I'm talking about a group tour. And so your expectations may be all over the charts because you've really never been there before. You've seen the videos, you heard people talk about it and all that great stuff. But until you go and experience one, you really don't know what to expect. So that's a hard thing to do, right? You've been to a million sporting events, you've been to a million restaurants, you have a pretty good idea of what to expect and what not to expect. And you usually have realistic expectations, right? You don't go to a sporting event, you know, just wishing or having, well, maybe you go wishing, but you don't expect the team you're rooting for to win every time you go. And that doesn't make or break your experience, or it shouldn't at least. You know, you should still have a good time, even if your team doesn't win, by enjoying the environment and everything around you and the sights and the sounds and the smells of the environment and all that. And when we talk about something like this, with your expectations, you know, it's very interesting, because what is your expectation when you go on this? Is it to get married right away, right? Is it to meet that one woman and have her say yes during the tour? Is it to just meet women that you feel connected with and build on that relationship? Is it just to go to have a fun time and socialize? You know, everyone's got different ideas in their head. And in 26 years of doing this, you know, I've seen it all over the chart, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that tonight. I think it'll be interesting. All right. So let's go to some of the questions. And thank you guys for having me on tonight and sharing your Monday night with me. I really appreciate that. It's special. David wants to know, first he says, hello, John. Hello, David. Question, I don't think a social would fit me because I'm 67 years old and I have no interest in 20 to 30-year-olds. I think a solo tour would fit best. Your thoughts, please. Well, it's funny, you know, again, expectations, what we just talked about, because I was talking with a gentleman who is your exact age, 67, who has been on our tours before, who has been to the socials, who is searching for women between the ages of 45 to 50, and he is going on the tours coming up in September. He's actually going to doing the dual tour, so he's going to all the socials. And he's been there before, and yet he's doing it. Why is he doing it? Well, first of all, because it's not just 20 or 30-year-olds that attend the socials. Before you go to the social, you give us a list, and although we can't promise that any of the women on your list will come, we do our best to try to invite those women based from the list that we get, if we get a list. Some of the guys will give us a list and some won't. But if you give us a list, we'll do our best to invite based on that list. And also, we will do our best to arrange one-on-one introductions if the women that you want to meet don't happen to go to the social. So, yeah, David, I mean, you're not going to be interested in all of the women that are going to be at that social. There are going to be women that are going to be too young for you. Just like if you were, 25 years old, there's going to be women that are too old for you, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And that's the whole beauty of the social, is that, you know, out of the, I think in Kiev, they had about 300 plus women at that social. In Kharkov, I think it was around 250, 280, something like that. Now, are you going to be interested in every woman there? No. And not all of them are going to be interested in you. But because there is such a large population of women who tell us that they're interested in seeking a man for serious relationships, marriage, that kind of thing, that you're in a great environment to meet the few women that there may be a good connection with, right? Instead of just going out on an independent date, right? A one-on-one date, because that takes time to set up, takes time to do. Whereas at the social, you're just going from table to table, you're meeting the women, you're interacting, you're maybe doing a little dancing, all that fun stuff, and get an idea of who you might want to spend more time with. And yes, it might only be, 5 or 6 women at the end of the night that you feel there was a mutual connection with. But that's probably a heck of a lot better than what you've been doing here, going out on dates and trying, to attend maybe singles events or things like that locally. I think that this blows that away. So I wouldn't tell you, David, not to go to a social. I think that, or a group tour, there's just so much to it. Because not only are you having the opportunity to go to a social where you just might turn around and bump into the woman of your dreams. And just because she happened to be there and you were there, is why you met. And you may have never asked for her to meet you individually, right? It just happened that she was there, you were there, and there was a little pixie dust in the air, right? And it just happened. Boom. And that's how it happens. That's how it happened for me. It happens that way for a lot of guys. But if there are certain women that you would like to meet, you don't have to just do the individual tour. You can still do the group tour, because one of the components of the group tour is the individual one-on-one introductions. So you'll have that opportunity to say, hey, I still would like to meet Julia and Anna and Rita and this other woman. I still want to meet them, even though I didn't get a chance to meet them at the socials. And our staff will still work with you and try to make those introductions for you, just like they would if you went over solo. Okay. Now, I mean, if you want to go over and do a solo trip, you can do like what we call the Euro Club. And you can go over and you can give us a list of 20 or 30 women in the age bracket that you are interested in. And then we will do our best to set up to, say, 3 dates a day every day for you during that 7-day or 10-day period that you want to do. And that's fine, too, and you can do that. But to me, you can get all of that plus the group tour for really not that much more money, and you get so much more out of it, because to me, a group tour is much more exciting, more fun, more things going on, good, bad, and ugly, right? It's all happening. And I think that it's just worth the price of admission just to experience all that and hopefully meet that. Well, I think you'll have the same opportunity to meet the women you want to meet either on the group tour or the solo tour, whereas on the solo tour, I don't think you have the same opportunity to meet as many women. Hopefully that makes sense. That was a long-winded. That's why they don't let me do the shows, because I just, talk too much about this stuff. They're already telling me, move on. They're going to get that one of those canes and pull me off the set. I know they're going to do that soon. It's okay. I had to answer that question, David, so hopefully that helped. All right, Chet. Good evening, everybody. It's nice to have John back as a host. First time in a while. See, someone out there appreciates me. Thank you, Chet. That was very nice. I like that. All right. McKissick, when will AFA do another seminar in the San Francisco Bay Area? I love San Francisco. My sister used to live there. It's one of my favorite places to go. And you guys there are amazing and great. It's always well attended. And I would hope to be able to do one before the end of the year. I can't promise that, but I hope so. As you can see, we've cut greatly back on the seminars that we've done. We've done one seminar since the pandemic started. That was a couple months ago. We did one in Las Vegas. And just, with things, Los Angeles, California, they're starting to mandate masks again and not allow the meetings again and things like that. So this whole COVID thing is topsy-turvy. And still, until things mellow out a little bit more, we probably won't be doing a lot of seminars. But hopefully soon. All right. Let's see here. JT says, I will not get a COVID shot. So this means I cannot travel and meet women? If that is the criteria, then I'm out. Well, JT, you're okay. You don't have to get a COVID shot to attend the socials. Not every woman there has a COVID shot, right? So we're not going to demand that every man has a COVID shot. That's really a personal choice. If you want to get one, that's fine. If you don't want to get one, well, that's fine. That's totally up to you. I'm not here to judge. I can tell you that it's a little bit easier for you to travel if you have a COVID shot. All the guys that you see on this tour, I won't say all, most of them had gotten their COVID shot, right? And so they were able to just show that little piece of paper, and they went right through customs in the Ukraine, and it was no problem, right? If you don't have a COVID shot, it's really not that big of a deal. What you need to do is you need to get a PCR test 48 hours before you travel, and you need to show that negative test to the Ukrainian customs or whoever it is when you get there before they let you out into the general public, and then they will let you in. And then when you come back, excuse me, you'll have to get another test, get back into the U.S. So it's not a huge deal, but that's something that you will have to do. And if you're unwilling to do the test, then yes, you would be out then because they're not going to let you into the country. So that's kind of how that works. Okay. All right. Zoom, I have a question. They don't have good men in the Ukraine? All those women are beautiful. Zoom, that's a very good question. And, we've been doing this now for 26 years. And I've been to about 350, 380 socials, something like that. And I'm always shocked, as you are, at the quality of the women that attend these socials. I mean, just the beauty of the women, the education level of the women. It's just overwhelming in some cases. It really is. And yeah, that question is, well, what the heck? Can't they find a guy where they are? I mean, what's the problem? Well, one of the problems, especially in the Ukraine, is that there are just more women than there are men. Google it, you'll see. The population is a little bit out of whack that way. And then the men that are there, there's not the best economic times there right now. There's a lot of instability. They still have the conflict going on with Russia. There's still basically a war going on in the East. And there's just a lot of issues and trouble going on. And it seems like it's been that way in the Ukraine for the past 30 years. Well, it's been that way for a lot longer, actually. Ukraine has a history of lots of issues politically going on. They just had a revolution a few years ago, and the president fled the country. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happening there. So the stability factor is not great. And a lot of times the men that are marriage age are not so much marriage minded, meaning that they really don't want the economic and emotional responsibility of a relationship, right? They don't want that white picket fence and the, 2.2 kids and all that stuff, right? That a lot of the women there are looking for. A lot of the women there want. And so that's one of the reasons that they do attend these socials. It's not because they're trying to escape something, right? Some guys will go over there with this notion of mind that they can just get off the plane and the women are going to flock to them and they can just choose, and because they're trying to escape some terrible thing. Kiev's a beautiful city. And people do very well there, really. And so, we're not talking about a third world country at all. And so it's not the fact that they're trying to escape. It's the fact that they're trying to find the right man. They're trying to find the person that they can spend the rest of their life with. And it's difficult for them right now. And now with the advent of the internet and companies like us, that we really support them in that search, not just throw up a website and say, here, put your profile up and you can just, talk with anybody. We give them a lot of support and safety in the way they meet them. And you can see just from this, how the social's arranged, how it's set up. We give a lot of safety and support to the women. And so they understand that they can use vehicles like us to expand their search for a man. And that's what they do. And so that's why they're there. Okie dokie. Let's keep going. Here are some of your questions. I do have a little video. It's about a 5-minute video of an interview that Anna, who you usually see on the show, did recently. And I'm going to bring that up in just a few minutes, but I'm going to wait a couple more minutes or get to a couple more of your questions. McKissick says, when is the optimal time to fill out the I-129F for the fiancé visa? When the man is in the foreign country with a lady or when he has returned back home? Well, pretty much you want to do that when you return back home, actually, because that's a process that starts here in the U.S., not over there if you're doing the K-1 visa. And so what you'll do is you'll want to gather all the proper information that you need to complete that package. Things like copy of her birth certificate, copy of her divorce decree if she's been married previously, those kind of things, right? And then you come back here and you have all the information you need, and you have the paperwork you need so you can fill it out correctly and then actually do it. So that's how that would work. All right, let's keep moving here. Ernie says, good evening, John, AFA staff, and all participants. Good evening to you, Ernie. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us. Appreciate it. Brian says, hey, John, good to see you, man. Is it safe to travel to Mexico? Yeah, I mean, you always got to be careful when you're traveling to a foreign country. And in that Cancun region, in that area, they've had some issues with crime and an increase in crime. So you want to be careful wherever you go, right? You don't want to be wearing a Rolex watch on your wrist and all the nice jewelry and all that stuff, flashing $100 bills everywhere you go. Don't do that kind of stuff when you're traveling anywhere, but especially Mexico. You want to be a little more careful. But I have not heard of any of our clients having any issue or problems there, so I think you'll be fine. But, you know, protect yourself and just be careful. Know that you're in a foreign country and always be aware of your surroundings. I don't care if it's France, if it's Italy, if it's Ukraine, Russia, wherever you're going, Colombia, Costa Rica, wherever it is, you know, you're a foreigner and you probably stick out as a foreigner. And if you look lost and confused, there's always going to be opportunists that may try to take advantage of you, even in New York, right? Or Washington or wherever it is, right? Oh, this guy's a foreigner. He's going to get a taxi. The taxi will take you the scenic route, right? And charge you twice as much because you don't know any better. And those kind of things happen. Where you go to a restaurant and they charge you, you know, 2 or 3 times more than what the bill should be because you don't know better. But if you go with us, you do know better because we talk about all this stuff over and over and over again. We try to educate you so that you don't fall victim to any of those kind of stupid, silly little deals that can happen out there. All right? All right. Let's see here. Brendan says, John, good to see you back. I've missed you. I've missed you too. Actually, I do miss doing this. It's kind of fun. But, you know, the girls are they're really good at it, and they're much better to look at. So Dina, Anna, they do a great job. Dina should be back next week, I think, and then maybe I'll do one with her, and then Anna won't be back for, I think, another week or so, or a couple of weeks, whatever it is. She's still in the middle of the tour, so yeah. Drew wants to know, and Mark says, hey, Mark. See, this is great. I love the community here. Drew wants to know any idea when the 2022 tour schedule will be released. You know, we're working on that, Drew. I'm hoping to have it out by the end of July, which isn't too much further, about another 10 days or so. And there's going to be a surprise on there. I'm not going to say what, but I'm going to say that I do believe we're going to have a new tour city on that schedule in 2022. But we'll keep it a secret for now. You'll have to wait and see. All right. I hate doing that. I'm sorry, but I want to be sure before I put that out there. Dave Casada. Dave, you were just over there. John, good to see you, Dave. It's wonderful to see you. You know, Dave, I tried calling you. I wanted to talk to you about how the tour and everything went, so I'd love to talk to you tomorrow if you get time, but really looking forward to it. All right. Yeah, we talked about the seminars already, Tom. It's one of the things I really look forward to do, by the way. I really look forward to doing the seminars. I love being in a room with 20 or 30 of you guys or even more and just talking about this, right? Talking about the group tours. And usually we have guys that have been with us before talking about their experiences, talking about the good things, and sometimes things that, you know, didn't go their way. And that's fine. Not every one of these tours, not every minute of the tour is going to be perfect for you. There's going to be ups and downs, right? There's going to be times you're thinking, and there's going to be times you're thinking, hey, you know, it's just how it is. That's just the nature of it. It's like a roller coaster. It's up and down. It's up and down. A lot of it depending on who you're meeting, what's going on, all that. So I love doing the seminars and talking to you guys about this. And when we have guys that have been there, they're sharing their experiences of all that with you, which makes it even better. And it's wonderful. But all right, I'm going to take one quick second here, guys, and we're going to take a look at this video that is brand new. I don't think it's ever been seen before in this northern hemisphere. So we're going to share it with you tonight. It's about a 5-minute video, and it's Anna interviewing one of the women that I believe went to the social. Am I correct? Was she going to the social? Or? In Kiev. So she came to the social in Kiev, and Anna took her aside and asked her a few questions. So let's listen.
Hello guys, last night we had our first social after pandemic here in Kiev, Ukraine, and we're joined by this wonderful lady whom I'm gonna ask a few questions about her experience. So what is your name?
Irina.
Can you tell a bit more about yourself? How old are you? What are you doing for a living?
Yeah. I'm Irina from Kiev. I'm 35 years old. I work as manager in a big company and also assistant and translator.
Beautiful, guys. What can be better than a beautiful girl who speaks fluent English?
My English, I don't think it's very good like English or American people, but I think it's good for me, for myself.
Oh, it's wonderful. Guys, I'm sure you'd enjoy a conversation with Irina. So when did you join the company? How long did you register in the agency?
I think it's like 3-4 months, but I was out for work and travel a little bit. So that when I came back, I just came yesterday first time to this party. I think, but it was nice. My friend recommended me this agency.
Well, it's wonderful. So it was your first social. So can you tell a bit more about your experience? Were you afraid of going to a large party because, you know, pandemic is just ending? So how did you feel about it?
No, I am not scared person, and also we was a little bit distance. The organization was very good, so no, I didn't scare about it.
Yeah. I guess we were like checking temperature when people were coming in. When you enter, you do have to wear a mask. We still have to comply with COVID protocols here to make sure everybody's safe, and everybody's safety is our priority, of course. Or once you sit down at the table, you can take off your mask because there is the food and drink, and you can enjoy conversation with those wonderful ladies. So did you meet anyone interesting at those socials?
Yesterday not, but I think in future I will have a lot of guy who will come to me, and I will go with pleasure to see who will be for me nice and I for him. So.
Speaking of which, what type of a person are you looking for? Can you describe your ideal man?
I look, this must be gentleman with sense of humor, and with who I will travel, enjoy my life, with good heart, I think, funny.
That's what describes pretty much 100% of you guys that's watching this video right now.
It's fine, yeah.
So guys, you need to come to Ukraine and meet lovely Irina and so many other beautiful ladies. By the way, at the social, did we have a lot of people there? A lot of guys, women? Can you just tell a bit more about the social and how you saw it through your eyes?
I think we need to a little bit more men to come because we have in Ukraine a lot of beautiful women. So we need more men for them. For me too.
Yes, guys, we gotta find a wonderful life partner for Irina. So we're gonna have quite a few socials coming up this year. There is September socials, there is November socials, and of course there is always 2022. So you guys, you gotta come travel to Kiev or Kharkov or Odessa or any other wonderful Ukrainian cities to meet those lovely ladies.
Yeah, it's true. We have everywhere in Ukraine, beautiful lady.
Yeah, when you're just walking down the street, you know, you just will be turning your head constantly when you see those lovely ladies. I was talking to guys in the end of social, you know, asking for their impression, what they thought about Ukrainian girls, and they all said that exceeded their expectations. Of course, they all knew that Slavic women are incredibly beautiful, but the way those ladies looked at the social, the ways they carried themselves, they're very classy, very elegant, very sophisticated, educated. You know, it's always nice to have a pleasant conversation with them. So, guys, again, come over to Ukraine and meet beautiful Ukrainian ladies. Would you add anything else in the end of this video? Maybe you'd want us, maybe future husband is watching us right now. Would you like to add something to him?
Yes, come please to Ukraine. We will join here. We'll show you our beautiful city, beautiful country. If you want, like anything, we will show you in the best way.
So guys, we're waiting for you here in Kiev, Ukraine. Looking forward to seeing you.
All right. See, that was kind of cool. It was kind of interesting because Anna asked her if she had met anyone that she was interested in at the social, and she said no. But she's hoping to go again and try to meet someone that's going to be right for her. And, you know, guys, when you have a 7-to-1, 10-to-1 ratio of women to men, the chances of the woman actually finding the man that's going to be her perfect match is very difficult. And you kind of look at it a little bit through that lens. You know, we're thinking about us. Okay, you know, there's going to be 200, 300 women at that social. But think about it from the woman's point of view. You know, they, again, are outnumbering, just like they do in Kiev with the number of women to men in the Ukraine. They're outnumbering the men there immensely. And so it's a lot more difficult for them. And that is one of the hardest things for me as a tour leader to see at the end of the night. Because at the beginning, the women come in with all this great hope and expectation and cheerfulness and just ready to go and meet someone. And at the end of the night, they're a little disappointed. Sometimes really disappointed they did not get that opportunity to meet that right person. And it's sad, right? I mean, there's nothing we can really do about that. We're trying to help. And we're bringing over men that tell us they want to meet someone for a serious relationship. And, you know, that's all we can do. Except we can try to bring more and more. So we're working on it. All right. Any idea when? Yeah, we talked about that. So McKissick says, so the Colombian cities that you go to include Medellin, Cartagena, Barranquilla. Any plans to add Cali or Bogota? Not at this time. There really isn't. You know, it's 3 different cities in one country. And yes, Cali and Bogota are something that is a possibility, maybe a possibility down the road. But right now, given the fact that we're having difficulties just getting the tourists that we have on our plate out, we're probably not ready to add any new ones in Colombia at this point. So we'll probably stick with Medellin, Cartagena, and Barranquilla through 2022. But you never know. There could be something happening with one of those cities down the road. Okay, Chris says, John, any suggestions on how to expedite the passport other than paying the extra fee? My application got kicked back because my birth certificate was not accepted. Resubmitted it the 1st of July. Well, Chris, if you already resubmitted it, there's probably not a whole lot you can do to affect it at this point. And the only way to really expedite it is to pay the extradition fee, right? You know, to speed it up. Other than that, it's going to go the same process. And right now, you know, those passports, those renewals can run 6 months. I mean, it's crazy how long they're taking. So if I were going to renew my passport right now, I would absolutely be expediting it. Because even if you expedite it, it's probably going to take longer than the normal time when you didn't expedite it, because it's just kind of a crazy time right now. I mean, anything you want to do right now, it's just so difficult because of this whole pandemic thing, how it's screwed up our whole distribution channels of raw materials and supplies and all this stuff, to where if you want to try to remodel something, it's crazy, or whatever it is you want to do. It's really difficult right now, and I guess getting a passport renewed is no different. Gary says, you see any chance of adding additional tours next year to the Philippines if they open up? I keep hearing a lot of people wanting to go and waiting to go. And yeah, Gary, we get that. We understand. I'm not sure if we're going to add any additional tours. We will start with probably pretty close to what we had this year, although obviously we haven't done one this year. But we're hoping maybe before the end of the year to get one off, but we'll see how the Philippines go. I'm not holding my breath, but possibly. And if that doesn't happen, then of course we'll have to be doing them next year. And it may be, just depending on what we see, that we'll have to add another 1 or 2 during the year to help with the demand, because I think there will be quite the demand to get you guys over there. And I can't wait for you guys to be able to go back to the Philippines. All of Asia, Thailand, China, Philippines, still shut down. You still can't go. I still don't believe we're going to be able to do a tour in Asia at all this year. They're very, very difficult. So, yeah. All right. And Chris says, I want to go to Costa Rica in September. Might be tight on the timeline. Well, I'm not sure what timeline you're talking about, but we have time. I mean, if you can get on that September tour to Costa Rica, we did do a tour in Costa Rica already. After the pandemic had started just a couple months ago, we did one. And we're going to be doing that September one, I do believe, unless something very crazy happens. So, yeah. All right. Let's keep going here. Michael says, are you planning to reschedule the Thailand tour in 2021? How about the Shenzhen tour in November? We're not going to reschedule any tours in 2021. So if we can't do the tour, then it's going to have to be next year until we do the group tour. You can go over individually if it opens up, but we're not going to get into the game of saying, okay, we're going to reschedule this tour, and then they're going to have to cancel it again, and reschedule, they're going to have to cancel it again. Especially with Asia, you just never know. So, we have tours coming up that are still scheduled for Asia for the rest of the year. If we can get those done, that's great. If not, then it will have to be in 2022. Okay. Sean says, I am planning to go to Kiev, Ukraine in 2 months. I plan to use the Euro Club. How do you guys arrange women I want to meet first when I submit the list of ladies I want to meet while I am in Kiev, Ukraine? Well, first of all, Sean, congratulations. I think that's wonderful that you're going over. That's fantastic. So how the Euro Club works in a nutshell is that when we get closer, you're going to submit a list of, say, 30 or so profiles of women that you believe you would like to meet while you're there. And Sean, please be sure to make that list comprised of women from the Kiev region, right? We don't want to have women from Russia on that list, right? Or way, way on the other side of the Ukraine, because they're not going to come probably unless you've been in some really strong material correspondence and she's willing to come see you. That usually doesn't happen. So local women in that area, you give us the list, and then we will work on inviting those women to meet you, up to 3 a day, actually. Now, sometimes that's too much for some guys. They'd rather do 1 or 2 dates a day. That's fine. I mean, whatever works for you. But we try to get you in front of as many of those women as possible. And then what happens, too, is that you're working with our staff in Kiev, and those women there have been there for many, many years, and they know many of the women on the service. And they will start making referrals or recommendations to you, letting you know who they think you might be a good match with. And then you'll possibly say, okay, yeah, that would work. And then you'll go out with those women as well. So you're pretty busy during the club and you're meeting lots of different women, and it's a great experience and it's a lot of fun. Not every date's going to be a great date, okay? But then you're going to have those that really kind of take your breath away. And that's what you're looking for, right? But sometimes you got to go out on a few before you find the ones that you really are interested in. Again, that's why I kind of like the socials, because it allows you to meet a lot of different women at once, and I think those are great. Okie dokie. Todd says, hi, John from Eastern Washington State. Oh my gosh, Todd, I hope you're staying cool up there. I heard it's been a very, very difficult and hot summer for you guys. It's been hot all over. Been extremely. We had the hottest June on record again this year in Phoenix, and I know even the guys in Nikolai has been really hot over there too. I've been hearing just kind of oppressive heat going on. All right, so I'm considering going to Cartagena tour in October. Okay. Videos of recent socials only show 2 to 3 women at table per guy. Is this ratio what I can expect for such a tour? Really depends on the tour, Todd. That can change. That could easily go from 2 to 3 women at a table to 4 or 5 women at a table. Depends on the size of the event, how many men are there, which will dictate how many women are there, that kind of thing. We try to aim for at least a 7-to-1 ratio of women to men. So, I don't want to tell you, yes, there's always 2 or 3 women per table. It really depends on how everything's configured. Usually it's a little bit more than that. Usually it's at least 4 women per table, I would say. And sometimes as many as 6 to even 8 women at a table, depending on where you are, like in the Ukraine. So it just really depends on the venue, what's going on. Usually, though, in Cartagena, I would say closer to about 4 to maybe 5 women per table. Just depends. Chet says, just counting down the days until my Euro Club trip this fall. Oh, that's fantastic. See, it's nice to have something to look forward to plan for, to get all your ducks in a row, to learn how to speak Russian fluently. Okay. Probably kidding on that last one. But if you could learn a few phrases before you go over, Chet, you got some time. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. Kind of dazzle the women with a little bit of Russian or Ukrainian. You can do either one. Russian, all Ukrainians understand Russian. Most Russians do not understand Ukrainian, so I always advise guys to learn Russian if they can. But, I mean, that's kind of what I did with Tanya after I first met her. I came back and I hired an interpreter or translator or teacher, whatever you want to call her. And privately, I learned about 6 or 7 phrases that I memorized, so that I went back, I acted like I kind of, was learning Russian. And it really impressed Tanya. Now I feel bad because I never learned anything else after that. But, which is really sad because I've been with her now for 24 years, guys. This July is when Tanya and I met. 24 years ago, this July, we were at a social, just like what you're seeing there in St. Petersburg, Russia. I wish we had film of that social. I bet we do, deep, deep, deep buried in the archives. Back when they had like high 8 video, right, where it was like on the wheels, you know, because it's a long time ago. Anyways, 24 years ago, this July is when we met. And Tanya, if you're listening, it's amazing. You're more beautiful now than you were then, and it's wonderful. It's really cool, actually. That's why I love the group tour so much. It's just such a cool thing. All right, now I'm going to get all sentimental and cry and all that stuff. I can't do that. All right, got to keep going here. So let's see here. Thailand, Ukraine, counting the days, got that. And then we're going to go to Gabe. Hi, John. I was wondering if the breakfast buffet is included in the tour fee. Of course it is. Yeah, actually, the breakfast, which is actually pretty good, Gabe, is included. So you can go down. And that's a great time to socialize with the other guys, too, and talk about what's going on. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly, right, at the breakfast. It's kind of like Monday morning quarterbacking. And the guys are sharing their stories about different dates and stuff like that. And you're also, you know, taking advantage of the food and eating and all that good stuff. But that is always included with all of our tours as breakfast. Okay. Let's see. James says, Dear John, I really thank you for doing such a good job this past year, and I really missed the tour very much. And I want to let you know that I'm fully vaccinated on May 25th, and I'm very happy for that. And I hope to go back sometime in the near future. Fantastic, James. Thank you, John, for doing a great job. I never got sick yet. I hope that you all stay very safe. Take care, James. Well, James, I think that's wonderful that you have not gotten sick, and we will continue doing what we're doing. You know, it is, you know, this COVID thing has hit very close to us. We lost one of our ex-office managers in Colombia, actually, unfortunately passed away from COVID. And then one of our clients, as you guys know, and many of you helped contribute to that, passed away as well. And then there's several people here in the Phoenix area that we know that also passed away. So I don't know if we're if it's the exception to the rule or whatnot, but it just seems that we know quite a few people that have passed away from it, and it's sad. It's just a sad thing that this is going on, but it is happening. Okay, Nice says, I have MS. I was hoping I could find a lady who either has a child or has children, because basically they've been able to take care of children. They've cooked and they cleaned and whatnot. You know, you should call and talk to us a little bit more about that. You know, we've helped quite a few guys that have had different conditions over the years, and if you want to call me and speak to me a little bit more in depth about, you know, your condition, where you're at right now, what it is you're really looking for, you and I can have an in-depth conversation, and hopefully I can help you a little bit more understand what maybe some valid options are out there for you. Okay, so please feel free to give me a call. I'm not that hard to get a hold of. They know who I am here. They know where I am. So you can just call and either hit 0 for the operator or 2003 and you'll get to me. Jeff says, John, how are you? I'm doing great, Jeff. Good to hear from you as well. And Russian Love says, you give great info too, John. Well, thank you so much. I try. Tinwana, I think it is. This is difficult to say, but I see these women on the site. They seem pretty far out of my league. I can get rejected here all I want. Why travel there? Where are the normal women, I guess, is my question. I love that question, Tinwana, if I'm pronouncing your name right, which I doubt, but I'm trying. Okay, look. I once was at a bank, and this woman in front of me said, you look a little like Stephen King. And I said, yeah. I said, oh, really? I said, he's not very good looking. And she goes, yeah, I know. Okay. So, look, I'm not the most attractive person in the world either. That was really mean of her, though, at the bank. I thought that was a terrible thing to say. But I think I got really lucky when I went to St. Petersburg and was lucky enough to meet Tanya. I think that she was probably out of my league, so to speak. But, you know, she's a wonderful person. And after we got to know each other, she got past my hideous looks and took me for the wonderful person that I am. You know, and of course, okay, I'm exaggerating, but, you know, I would say that, you know, you need to go over and experience it, right? The problem, I was going to talk about expectations. We have so many questions. It's already 6, you know, 6:30 here, so we're not going to have much time to get to my theme here, and we would have covered some of these things about expectations. So I'm not going to get a chance to talk too much about that, I don't think. But one of the problems, one of the things that we do to ourselves is that we overthink things sometimes too much, and we use the past to frame the future, right? So, oh, well, this happened here, so of course it's going to happen here. And when I went to this club, I got rejected by these 10 women, so if I walk into another one, I'm going to get rejected by 10 more women. Well, that's not always the case. You got to understand, you're going to a totally different culture. You're going to a totally different world. You're going to a totally different environment. You've never been in an environment like this, where you're in a social where there's 300 women and there's 30 guys, okay? And women like this, coming to an event for this. I could almost guarantee that you've never been in a situation like that. And so things change. And if you go with the right mindset and you don't sabotage yourself before you even get started, right, with that kind of thinking, you can do very well, right? And there's wonderful women there. You know, the thing about the Ukraine, if we're talking about the Ukraine right now, the thing about that is, you know, the beauty is really not a commodity there like it is here, because there's so many women there that are so beautiful, and they take care of themselves, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they walk. You heard Anna talking about it, that all the guys were amazed when they were walking down the streets in Kharkov and other areas and seeing how many beautiful women there were just walking down the streets. So it's a different phenomenon than it is here in the States. And yes, I am here to tell you, and I know it's not politically correct, that we're not all the same. Every culture is not the same. There are differences in culture. There are differences in the way that we treat each other. And, you know, maybe you will find a better fit for yourself in the Ukraine or in Colombia or in Mexico, wherever it is, right? You just don't know until you go and try. Not to say that you can't find someone here either. But there's wonderful women here, and there are all kinds. Look, not every woman is a supermodel. There's all kinds of different women that attend these socials, that come, and it's an amazing opportunity. And I think there's someone for everyone. I really do, as long as you don't prevent yourself from finding that person. And the one person that usually is the biggest detriment is you. And I hate to say that. I'm not picking on you. I'm saying that in general terms. But we do it to ourselves. I mean, when I was going to go talk to Tanya, you know, 25 years ago, this July, or 24 years ago, I think, 24 years ago, this July, when I was going to go talk to her, I was shaken. I was a little scared, right? And I was working there. I was the tour leader. I was one of the owners of the company. And I was still really a little bit nervous to go up to her and talk to her. But I did it, and thank God I did it, or I wouldn't be where I am today. And it just, so you have to kind of put all those little demons in your head that talk to you and tell you that how this isn't going to work. They tell you how it's going to end before you even start it. Just ignore them and go and have an open mind, clear your head, and do it. And it's an amazing, amazing possibility. All right. I hope that helps. Alpha says, so many women there, where does a man start? I know, so many women, so little time. I understand. When it's my turn, can you line them up in alphabetical order or something? Seems, you know, I'm not going to mention any names, but, you know, 20-some years ago, there was another company that did something along those lines where the poor woman had to stand against a wall. And the guy and his interpreter sat down, and the guy kind of pointed at a woman, and the woman came. I just thought that was so impersonal and so not right that I would never do anything like that. I know you're joking about this, so don't, yeah. I think you're joking about it. Finding Miss Right seems daunting in a sea of beauties. I'll just close my eyes and point to my bride-to-be. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, well, you never know. It's worth a shot. It'd be a funny story. I don't know. You know, you're right, you know, but Alpha, I will tell you this. You see in this video, right, you see a lot of women. You see a lot of activity. You see all this, and it's wonderful. That's what we do. That's what you're trying to get us to do, right? We can only do so much, and we try our best to make an environment where you can go and you will have a lot of opportunity. That's what this is about. But when you're in that, right, and you're going from table to table, there's only going to be a certain number of women that you're really going to be drawn to, that you're really going to be interested in. And it takes that kind of numbers there to allow everyone to have a few women that they're going to be interested in. That's how this whole thing works. So although you see a sea of beauties there, right, there's not going to be a sea of mutual attractiveness, right, because of age differences, because of just all kinds of different factors, right? So when you really start paring it down, out of this whole environment, if you do your job right, you talk to all the different women, there may be 4, 5, 6, 7 women that you feel could be a possibility, right, by the end of the night. But that's a heck of a lot better than what you were doing, right? Those odds are great. So you need to get around, you need to talk to all those women and find those few where, boom, there's a chemistry. Something happens. Something like the little one. Yeah. Oh, it's great. I love it. Or just throw the dart. See who you hit. But then they might get mad, and you got doctor bills to deal with and all that, because, you can't just do that. All right. Alpha, I like that question, Alpha. That was great. Garza says, it looks like a good kickoff for post-COVID meetups. It really is. It's not without its hiccups. It's not without its problem, and the heat didn't help us any, that's for sure. But I think it was a good kickoff here. I hope to see things improve and people feel more comfortable going out and finding love again. I hope so too. Because I know there are some women that are still concerned about it and not attending because of that. But we are still seeing a pretty good showing. So Mark says, I'm planning to put in an open deposit for the Philippines by the beginning of August. Well, that's great, Mark. I do hope that we can get you over there sometime this year. But if you just put in your open, maybe sometime next year as well. Okay, John, wondering about the breakfast buffet. Is that part of the tour? I want to plan a few brunch dates, and the breakfast buffet is crucial. You're really kind of hooked on this breakfast buffet, Gabe. I'm not sure that's the best date idea, is to bring the woman to the hotel for a breakfast buffet, unless maybe she spent the night with you, and that's a whole nother conversation for a later time. But if you want to plan a few brunch dates at the hotel there, I would not recommend that. I mean, the breakfast buffet is nice, but we're not talking about a soup to nuts champagne breakfast buffet where you bring someone, right? I mean, it's not exactly like that. And so I would not suggest asking a date to come there. But let's talk to me more. You can call me or you can talk to one of the girls, but we would probably dissuade you from doing that. If that's a word. Dissuade, is that a word, dissuade? Can you dissuade someone? I don't even know if that's a word. Sounds good. Should be a word if it's not a word. See, that's why they don't let me on this show very much. I make up words. Is that, Kirk, you went to Catholic school. Is that a word, dissuade? You dissuade. Dissuade, yeah. Yeah, that's a word. I thought that was a word. All right. John, I've been on 2 AFA tours to Asia. I read online and heard through an AFA webcast that Ukrainian women will accept a max age difference of between 5 to 10 years. Where'd you hear that? I mean, Tanya and I have just about a 10-year age. I mean, I don't know. I've seen look, I think the average age difference with the Ukrainian women, if we're talking just Ukraine right now, the average age difference when it comes to foreigners is probably between 9 to 12 years, somewhere around there would be average. But I've seen 40-year age differences. I've seen many 20-year age differences. So it just really depends. Again, I've always said that if you start getting much over a 20-year age difference, you really want to be careful about everyone's agenda and what's going on. But a 15-year age difference, especially with an older woman, say she's 35 and you're 50, and you're not, going to sleep at 8 o'clock at night and drinking warm milk and all that good stuff at 50, but you're, still have game and you're doing things and stuff, and you don't mind doing the kind of stuff you did when you were 35, which shouldn't be that difficult at 50, then that's not a big deal. That happens quite often. But if she's 18 and you're 33, 34 or something like that, I'd be a little bit more careful about that 15-year age difference, right? So just keep those kind of things in mind. But anyways, let me finish that question. He said, I'm 70 and thinking that Ukraine would not work for me with my target age range of 45 to 50. Any thoughts? Depends, again, on you, and it depends on, look, if you're looking for someone who's 50 and you're 70, and you are still in good shape, and you've got game and all that stuff, then I think, John, that you still have a shot there. If you were telling me I'm 70 and I want a 30-year-old, or even just a 40-year-old and that was it, I would tell you that, yeah, that's going to be very, very difficult and probably dangerous, especially with a 30-year-old, because that's a 40-year age difference. Although I've seen it, and I've seen it work. I know of people who are married and have been married for several years with that kind of an age difference. But that, to me, is the exception to the rule, and usually probably does not end well. Although, age is not always an indicator. In the United States, we are very age inelastic, right? So most of our age, if you see an age difference of more than 5 years, that's kind of out of the norm. And we have a 50% divorce rate. So who's to say that, that makes that much of a difference in success? But I would say if you're 70 and you're really thinking of someone 50, maybe 52, 53, somewhere in that range, then I think you could be fine there. I think you'd also be fine in the Philippines. I think you'd be fine probably even in Colombia with that kind of age difference if you're thinking that 50 and up, possibly 45. But again, the one thing you have to worry about a little bit, or think about at least a little bit in the Ukraine, is that the average life expectancy of a Ukrainian man isn't much. It's right around 60. So when you're 70, you definitely already have more than one foot in the grave, according to them. And so, they're going to look at you in that way until you come over and you present yourself and you show that you're a wonderful, charismatic, great guy. Then, things will change. But you need to make that happen, because not every 70-year-old is the same, right? We're all unique. And not every 50-year-old woman is the same. We're all unique. So it really depends on you and how you are going to go about this and how you live your life and all that. So, yeah. All right. And that's why, guys, again, I'll say this again. I've been saying this for I don't know how many years, is I don't think you should be corresponding a lot. I don't think you should be spending tons of time, resources, energy, writing letters, and then going over to meet that person who you think is the perfect person for you because you wrote all these letters. And then when you get there and she sees you in person, and maybe you exaggerate a little bit in the letters, maybe you sent that photo that was, 10 years ago just because you wanted to keep her interest and whatever. And or even if you didn't, and then there's still not chemistry, right? I don't think you need to do it. I didn't do it. I just send a single letter. And I was lucky enough to meet Tanya at the social, again, 24 years ago this July, and it was fine. So you don't need to do that. I just think you go over and you meet, especially if you're older, if you're in your 60s, 70s, even 50s, you need to go over there and show that you're this great, passionate, guy that can go around and you climb mountains and you do stuff and you have fun still and you want to have fun and live, right? You have a zest for life and you show that. You can't show that in a letter. You can talk about it. Words are cheap. But when you go over and you take her hiking in some place that she's never been before in the Ukraine, or you take her on a hot air balloon ride or horseback ride or something cool and fun, and you guys are clicking and you're having a great time, that's what it's about, right? I mean, it's life. Don't sit there and write letters forever. And don't go on other sites and do that. And don't chat forever. Just don't do it. Just go and meet the women. I know it's hard right now with the pandemic. I get that. But this isn't going to be forever. And it'll get back to normal pretty soon, where there'll be plenty of room on the tours and all that stuff, right? Right now it's just a little crazy because of the pent-up demand with the pandemic. All right. Patrick says, "Hi, John. Love the show." Thank you, Patrick. What is the best way to meet women on the site that are located in Mexico? I do not see any tours in Mexico this time, Patrick. Well, hopefully. Just wait. But right now, if there's one or two or a few women that you'd like to meet, the best way is just to do it individually, unfortunately, until we can start doing the tours there. So I would highly recommend for you to go over and, well, contact us if there's someone that you would like to go see, and then we will do our best to help you set that up. Remember, I just did that today for the gentleman who's going in a few days to Mexico, and we put him in touch with our affiliate there, and they are making the arrangements. He will go and he will meet the woman in person that he wants to go and meet. So get with us, Patrick, and we can help you with that. Okay. Hold on a second here. Where was I? Hold on, guys. I'm getting there. We're already out of time, but I'm going to try and get to everybody if I can here. So let me keep going here. Chris says, "John, you need to have Joe do these webcasts more, as he offers his first-hand experience meeting the women. It is much easier for us to relate and buy into your business model." It's why we have Joe do it. I love having Joe do these, and we will have Joe do them more and more. He just did it last week, and there's a good chance he may be here again next week as well. And you're right. I think that you guys, I'm married already. It's easier to relate to Joe. I get that, so that's cool. Let me see here. Jerry says, my expectation in November is to have an awesome Thanksgiving vacation and to meet as many women as I can. Great expectation, Jerry. I love that. You know, because when guys tell me, oh, John, my expectation is to go over and I have to be engaged at least on this tour. Or I could at least find a woman that I can marry on this tour. And I think that that is just setting the bar so high, because think about it. You know, you've lived your life all this time and you have not found that special someone yet that you want to marry, and yet you want to go on this one tour, and it has to be on that tour, and you have to find her, and you have to, you know, get married. And to me, that is just putting a ton of pressure on yourself and everyone else. And can that happen? Yeah. Does it happen? Absolutely. But is it absolutely going to happen for every guy that goes on the tour? Absolutely not. And so when you put that kind of pressure on yourself, it's very difficult. No one can guarantee anything like that. Very, very difficult to do. And, you know, when you see someone saying, well, we'll guarantee this or guarantee that, turn around and run, because it's just, you can't guarantee something like that. All right. Let me keep going here. How do I meet them all? I learned the hard way to not expect a thing. If an expectation doesn't work out, it's disappointing. It's better to go with an open mind. I don't expect it, but my goal always is to find that special lady who shares my goals, wants, and desires in life. Well, Jerry, I'm assuming you're going over to do the tour, and the best way is to go to those socials, meet as many different women during those socials, and then have a list of women that you would like to meet. Try to get those invited to the socials. If not, have that staff in the hospitality room working on that list of yours so that they can try and do as many one-on-one introductions as possible with the women that you want to meet. All right. Okay. John, I sent my passport in for renewal, and I didn't think to expedite it. Well, then we're going to wait. But you just wait, and hopefully you'll get it. You're not going to go for a while yet, Mark, so we got time. I did hear that there was flooding in Germany, and that's not good. My son is actually there, and Maria's there, I believe, right now. And it's, you know, we hope that they're all safe and doing well. Chris says, John, you have the best info and appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you, Chris. I really do appreciate that. Paul says, Ukrainian girls are great, but a few years in the USA, they'll become Americanized by feminism, social media, TV. I fear it. Paul, don't fear that. Okay, because yes, everyone grows and changes, but if you choose wisely, as I did, I think with Tanya, although she says she chose me, which is probably true, but I must have had some say in it somewhere. But anyways, if you choose wisely and you have a loving relationship and you're supporting her and you're showing her that you care all the time, then it doesn't really matter. Of course, she's going to take certain things from this culture. And that's one of the wonderful things about a intercultural relationship, is that you're sharing things with each other, right? So she's going to take certain things from this culture, and you're going to take certain things from her culture, but you're not going to be Ukrainianized any more than she's going to be Russianized or Americanized, excuse me. Because, and I understand she's living here, you're not living there, but you're going to probably experience a lot of things from the Ukraine, let's say, if you marry someone from there. But that doesn't change who you are as a person, and it's not going to change her core, right? I mean, there's certain values that we develop when we're younger, and they tend to stay with us pretty much throughout life. And it takes a lot to change those values. So if she has those core values that you're looking for in someone, I don't care how much TV she watches or whatever she does, she's just not going to all of a sudden change, especially if you're staying in communication with her, right? You're supporting her, you're developing your relationship with her, then you should be fine. But that goes even with a domestic marriage, right? I mean, that goes with that's simple, you know, marriage advice 101, right? Communication, support, love, all those things is what you have to do to keep your marriage fun and moving forward. Okay. Let's see here. Trying to get here. I'm not going to be able to get to all you guys' questions, unfortunately. Dave does say, I want to get to Dave here. Dave said, I made the fatal mistake of talking to one girl at the Key social for too long. Yeah, Dave, yeah, it was your first social, so we'll give you a pass. But it's so hard, Dave. You were there now. Now you experienced it, and now you know. And you're right. when you are at that social, it's human nature. You meet someone that you like, and she's giving you attention, and you're not used to that so much, because here in the States we get shut down when you go to bars or nightclubs, and that was not a bar or nightclub, that was a different environment. But again, our mind's playing tricks on us, and we think, oh my gosh, here's this beautiful woman and she's talking to me, I feel safe here, I'm not going to leave. And you stay there for too long. And obviously that woman did not turn out to be the one, right? And you probably you gave up, I can't talk today, you gave up the opportunity to meet some of the other women at the social because of that. And that is, a mistake, that's a problem, but we all make it, right? It happens. And it's hard not to do. Because there are so many women there, and very few guys are that disciplined to be able to get from table to table to table, and the women are moving around, and it's not the easiest thing to do. You got to be really dialed in to really do these socials correctly in a really focused approach to meet everyone. So don't beat yourself up over that, Dave. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's just the way it is, But I hope you had fun. At least I hope you had a good time, and I hope you made some good connections that may evolve into something. But you and I can talk more. I'm looking forward to talking to you about it. That's why I tried calling you today, actually. And Len from Thailand says average age difference of still married couples in AFA Thailand is 18 years. So a larger age difference there from Thailand, 18 years. Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Ryan says, I met 13 women. That was way too many. Oh, this is on his club trip. Conversations were running together. I wanted to date half the girls. The second time I ran out of time on my trip. Yeah, you can. So that's why, most guys, when you do a club, like if you do a 7-day club, we say up to 3 introductions. Well, if you do the math, that's 21 introductions. Most guys don't do 21 introductions. New, unique introductions. Most guys are doing somewhere around 12 to 13, just like what you were saying, because that's almost the max you can do in 7 days, because you want to do second and third dates, and you just get tired after a while. There's so much you can do. Let's see here. Dave says Kiev Social was awesome, though. Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. That's great. I'm glad you liked it. Let's see here. Yeah, Shun says, John, I met one of the ladies in your database through another website agency. She was almost demanding me to write her every other day. I was busy, and when I got back to her, she got mad and ditched me. Well, look, you don't need that, do you? Right? So if she got mad over because you wouldn't write her every day, then yeah, I think you're probably better off. And again, you should be writing her every day. You don't have to do that, guys. And I just don't think you should. What you're seeing behind me is what you should be doing, is going to these socials, meeting these women in person, and seeing what happens from there. If you want to do a little bit of letter writing, we have a good article on our site of the do's and don'ts of correspondence, or something like that, it's entitled. And it gives you, great guidelines on how to use correspondence to your benefit, right? Not to overdo it, like anything. Anything can be overdone. But it talks about how you should do it with a plan, right? And do it with a plan of going over to meet the different women. If you just want to write just to write, well, that's one thing. And maybe if that's all you want to do, then that's fine. But if you really want to make real connections with women, then use that as a tool to do that, but do it sparingly and do it with a plan, and don't do it 8 months in advance of you going over, because what's the point, really? So yeah. Timano says on another question, which city in Ukraine would be the best first tour, Odessa, Kiev, or the City of Brides, Nikolaev? Oh, I don't know. Again, that really depends too on you. You need to look at the site, you need to look at the profiles, see where the majority of profiles are you think you're interested in, and then just choose that tour that best fits that. I will say that if you live in a really small rural area, Kiev is probably not your best first choice, because it would be a little bit more of a culture shock. Odessa or Nikolaev would be better. Nikolaev even more so than Odessa if you live in a really rural area someplace. Okay. I think we are about there, guys. One more I got here from a kiss. If I decide to marry her in her country and do a K3 visa or K1 visa, they have drive-through wedding chapels in Colombia, like in Vegas? I had to take that as the last question. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think they have drive-through wedding chapel. Only Vegas can you go drive-through and get married by Elvis, okay? I don't think they're doing that in Colombia, thank God. So no. And you don't want to do that anyway. You know, have a good wedding someplace. McKissick, that's funny. I like that. All right, that's it, guys. That's all we could do here for tonight. We're already behind. You know, I get yelled at and get in trouble and all that, so we have to go. I had all this stuff I was going to talk about here tonight, and I never got a chance to even get to it. I apologize for that. But you guys had some great questions, and I said at the beginning of the show, this is about you, right? It's your forum. It's about answering your questions, and I think we did a pretty good job of that tonight. And we will be back again on Wednesday. What are we doing Wednesday? Is that going to be the Philippine show on Wednesday? I do believe it's the Philippine show on Colombia. I'm sorry, I am mistaken. It is the Colombian show on Wednesday. So we will have the Colombian show Wednesday, and then we will be back again Monday. I think Dina may be back by then, or we may have Joe back. We'll see who the guest host will be. But we'll have someone else in here filling the microphone for you guys, okay? So until next week, guys, be safe out there, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it.
Hello guys, last night we had our first social after pandemic here in Kiev, Ukraine, and we're joined by this wonderful lady whom I'm gonna ask a few questions about her experience. So what's your name?
Irina.
Can you tell a bit more about yourself? How old are you? What are you doing for a living?
Yeah, I'm Irina from Kiev. I'm 35 years old. I work as manager in a big company and also assistant and translator.
Beautiful, guys. What can be better than a beautiful girl who speaks fluent English?
My English, I don't think it's very good like English or American people, but I think it's good for me, for myself.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm sure you would enjoy a conversation with Irina. So when did you join the company? How long did you register in the agency?
I think it's like 3-4 months, but I was out for work and travel a little bit. So that when I came back, I just came yesterday first time to this party, I think. But it was nice. My friend recommended me this agency.
Well, it's wonderful. So it was your first social. So can you tell a bit more about your experience? Were you afraid of going to a large party because, you know, pandemic was just ending? So how did you feel about it?
No, I am not scared person, and also we was a little bit distance. The organization was very good, so no, I didn't scare about it.
Yeah. I guess we were checking temperature when people were coming in. And when you enter, you do have to wear a mask. We still have to comply with COVID protocols here to make sure everybody's safe, and everybody's safety is our priority, of course. Or once you sit down at the table, you can take off your mask because there is the food and drink, and you can enjoy conversation with those wonderful ladies. So did you meet anyone interesting at those socials?
Yesterday not, but I think in future I will have a lot of guy who will come to me, and I will go with pleasure to see who will be for me nice and I for him. So.
Speaking of which, what type of a person are you looking for? Can you describe your ideal man?
I look, this must be gentleman with sense of humor, and with who I will travel, enjoy my life, with good heart, I think, funny.
That's what describes pretty much 100% of you guys that's watching this video right now.
It's fine, yeah.
So guys, you need to come to Ukraine and meet lovely Irina and so many other beautiful ladies. By the way, at the social, did we have a lot of people there? A lot of guys, women? Can you just tell a bit more about the social and how you saw it through your eyes?
I think we need to a little bit more men to come because we have in Ukraine a lot of beautiful women. So we need more men for them and for me too.
Yes, guys, we gotta find a wonderful life partner for Irina. So we're gonna have quite a few socials coming up this year. There is September socials, there is November socials, and of course there is always 2022. So you guys, you gotta come travel to Kiev or Kharkov or Odessa or any other wonderful Ukrainian cities to meet those lovely ladies.
Yeah, it's true. We have everywhere in Ukraine, beautiful lady.
Yeah, when you're just walking down the street, you know, you just will be turning your head constantly when you see those lovely ladies. I was talking to you guys in the end of social, you know, asking for their impression, what they thought about Ukrainian girls, and they all said that exceeded their expectations. Of course, they all knew that Slavic women are incredibly beautiful, but the way those ladies looked at the social, the ways they carried themselves, they're very classy, very elegant, very sophisticated, educated. You know, it's always nice to have a pleasant conversation with them. So, guys, again, come over to Ukraine and meet beautiful Ukrainian ladies. Would you add anything else in the end of this video? Maybe you'd want us, maybe future husband is watching us right now. Would you like to add something to him?
Yes, come please to Ukraine. We will join here. We'll show you our beautiful city, beautiful country. If you want, like anything, we will show you in the best way.
So guys, we're waiting for you here in Kiev, Ukraine.